Well, it's time for Tampa Bay to make their move and push themselves over the limit of being a cup contender. Earlier in this trade deadline week, we were kind of questioning what the hell are the Tampa Bay Lightning doing being the third team involved in an Adam Henrique trade? Why are they mortgaging their salary cap space to help out other cup contending teams? Well, that doesn't matter anymore because they have themselves their own acquisition, also from the Pacific Division. Take a look at this. The San Jose Sharks have traded forward Anthony Duclair and a 2025 7th-round pick to the Tampa Bay Lightning in exchange for a 3rd-round pick and Jack Thompson. Now, this is a pretty small trade on the surface. Hey, it's a player for a player with 2 picks involved, but realistically, this is one of those deals that can have some pretty big implications into the NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs. Let's go over to Anthony Duclair because, of course, he is the quote-unquote prize in this trade. Duclair is 28 years old, 5'11", 196, left-handed player. He plays all 4 positions, and his contract expires at the end of this season, making $3 million a year. He has been making $3 million a year ever since his days with the Florida Panthers, where he had 58 points in 74 games played 2 seasons ago. Now, I guess if the Tampa Bay Lightning are looking at that and saying, yeah, Duclair was so good with Florida, and that guy was torturing us in our division, why not go out there and try to go get him? Let's put him on our squad now, so the Panthers can get a taste of their own medicine when we inevitably meet them in the first round of the playoffs because we're a wildcard team right now. Anthony Duclair this season has 27 points in 56 games played, on pace for about 37 and 22 goals, but you gotta remember, these numbers were playing for the San Jose Sharks. They stink, and so a lot of these could be, you could debate that there's more to show for with Duclair out of his profile this season, or you could debate the opposite, maybe because San Jose was so bad they gave him a bigger opportunity, but I mean, look, the guy was a 30-goal player with the Florida Panthers. I think he's doing pretty alright, all things considered. But Duclair, for the past few years, has been a pretty good, versatile scoring machine, and if you're able to really capitalize on this kind of a guy being in Tampa, give some extra support to your guys that need it the most, and I say need it the most because, man, oh man, Nikita Kucherov is carrying the Tampa Bay Lightning, and it's not looking all too good in that respect. I say he's looking amazing, but look at the next best guy on the team in points. You've got 105 points for Kucherov, followed up by 60, 60, 60. That is not good. The fact that there isn't a 70 or an 80 or a 90-point guy on this team to help out Kucherov is kind of nuts. And I'm not saying that Anthony Duclair is going to come in and help do that, but just giving Kucherov more options and giving this guy more space, more room, a little bit more breathing room in terms of being able to produce offense for this team, that's going to be pretty good and pretty huge heading into the postseason. The Lightning, of course, aren't really doing all too hot compared to their standards. They are just in that wildcard spot after all, but with Nikita Kucherov doing what Nikita Kucherov's doing, anything is possible. I mean, the save percentage from Andrei Vasilevsky being at an .896 doesn't help either, but at the same time, Anthony Duclair is another depth forward that if he's able to have some sort of a Brandon Hagel-like presence on this team, that ultimately I feel would be the best case scenario, but Brandon Hagel has become really good over the past few years, so maybe that's a little bit too high of an ask. Either way, though, let's go over the trade return here. It's Duclair and a 7th going over to Tampa in exchange for a 3rd-round pick and Jack Thompson. Now, who exactly is Jack Thompson? Well, he is a very intriguing defenseman prospect that, according to a lot of Lightning fans that I'm seeing on social media, is pretty good. Like, they did not want to see this guy leave. Also, big shout out over to William McKay, who has just subscribed here to the channel live while I'm recording this video, but Jack Thompson is a 21-year-old right-handed defenseman, 6'1", 185, who was drafted by the Lightning in the 2020 93rd overall position. And when he was taken out of this draft, he was in the OHL. He then spent a half year pretty much, in the Hockey Etan in Sweden because the OHL shut down in 2020-2021. But then he went back to the OHL, was the captain of Sudbury, was under a point per game there, was under a point per game after getting traded to Sioux, and in the Sioux, he had 14 points in 9 playoff games there. So what an absolute beast Jack Thompson was. He also played for Team Canada at the World Juniors a few years ago. But everything seems to have gone right for Thompson in his AHL development. Not only did he have 23 points in 71 games played in his rookie year last year, but he's got 32 points in 46 games played with the Syracuse Crunch this year too. 45 points in 64 games played is his projected pace here, and this is just a very good offensive defenseman prospect for San Jose. If you want to talk about what Jeremy Waugh probably should have been for San Jose a few years ago, talk about what Ryan Merkley could have been, Jack Thompson seems to be displaying similar traits. And if you wanted to get a little bit more of a report, this is what Dobber Prospects goes out there and says, that Jack Thompson is a strong skating defenseman who plays a good two-way game. He had a very good 21-22 season, tallying 69 points in 74 games in the regular season, along with 14 points in 9 playoff games in the OHL, averaging around 25 minutes a night. He is eligible to play in the AHL next season and should compete for a roster spot. He's got a great shot, which he needs to utilize more in the power play. If his offensive game doesn't develop, he could easily be a second or a third pair defenseman who chips in around 30 points by the time he makes the NHL. And that kind of a profile is awesome. A second, maybe third pairing guy that gets up to 30 points a year, that is a very nice offensive profile. Sure, while it's no Erik Karlsson 100-point caliber pace player, it's still something, especially when you're getting yourselves not only Thompson, but also that third-round pick for this Anthony Duclair situation, because Duclair was an expiring asset. He'll be done at the end of the season, $3 million a year, as we had talked about. And if we go over to some of the subreddit comments, I mean, the Our Hockey thread has it all. Here is what some Tampa Bay fans went out there and said about this. Thompson was not a guy I wanted to part with, but Duclair was my ideal pickup, so I'll take it. San Jose fans, I think you guys are getting a gem. I agree. I really liked Jack Thompson, but with Crozier stepping up on the right side and our lack of depth scoring, this seems like a win-win for both sides. Yeah. Plus, you have Powell, who was likely going to get signed at the end of the NCAA season, and it was getting a little bit crowded at right D. Here's the scouting report that Jack Thompson is a solid two-way guy, not going to be a number one or anything, but he could be a solid top four player. Played power play 1 in Syracuse, was an AHL All-Star this year, put up numbers offensively while being steady and not giving up much the other way. Just a solid, reliable player. Seems like a great kid too. Wore an A in Syracuse despite only being a second-year pro. I think y'all are really going to like him. So, at the end of the day, the San Jose Sharks are getting themselves a very good prospect, and the Tampa Bay Lightning are getting themselves their desired depth forward. They needed depth scoring on this team when you consider just where the points are coming from in Tampa. So, getting this trade done a day before the deadline, you're just trying to maximize the value that you have right now, and it costs you a pretty valuable prospect, but at the end of the day, the Tampa Bay Lightning don't really care about the long-term development of their prospects at this moment. They care about winning while they still have Steven Stamkos. That guy is expiring on his contract at the end of the year, so who knows what happens when Stammer needs to be re-signed. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Tampa Bay Lightning fans, how do you feel about Anthony Duclair heading over to your team? Do you see this as some sort of a Brandon Hagel kind of move where you maybe could be locking this guy up and maybe could be seeing more value out of him? What are your thoughts if you're a Florida Panthers fan tuning in here about Anthony Duclair heading over to a rival in Tampa Bay? And if you're a San Jose Sharks fan, what are your opinions on Jack Thompson being the main prospect coming the other way, plus that third-round pick? We can't forget about that. So again, thoughts in the comment section below about Anthony Duclair heading over to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.